points. Fox Sports NBA analyst Chris Broussard joining us now. Chris, what is the biggest reason the Bucks won Game 6?
Jen, I'm going to be honest with you. I almost feel like I'm being punked. Because this question is just too obvious. It has to be a trick question. There is only one answer to this. It is because Giannis Antetokounmpo played arguably the greatest closeout game in NBA Finals history. This dude was phenomenal. On a night when only one other Bucks player either matched or surpassed his season scoring average or his playoff scoring average, and that was Bobby Portis, Giannis carried them offensively and defensively. Yes, Jrue Holiday's defense on Devin Booker was sensational, but Jrue Holiday shot 4 for 19. Yes, Chris Middleton hit 2 nice jumpers in the fourth quarter to keep Phoenix at bay. But Chris Middleton only took 13 shots the whole game, scored 17 points. This was about Giannis Antetokounmpo, period, the end. He dominated on both ends of the floor. He dominated the interior offensively. He's hitting jump hooks. He's hitting short jumpers in the paint. He dunked on 3 bucks. He did it in transition. He even hit a 3-pointer. And, of course, he made his free throws. On the defensive end, he blocked shots at the rim. He blocked jump shots. He guarded everybody from Chris Paul to Devin Booker to DeAndre Ayton. And, look, and I've really grown to like DeAndre Ayton during these playoffs. But he intimidated DeAndre Ayton so much, Ayton played the worst game of the playoffs this season for him. So Giannis was sensational, scored 13 points in the fourth quarter. Like, he scored almost 50% of their points. He scored 50 of the 105 points. I'm looking back, Shaq has some great closeout games in the three-peat with Kobe. Jordan obviously has some great closeout games. None greater than the 45 points at Utah with, the late jumper, his last game as a Bull. LeBron's had 3 triple-doubles in closeout games. The one game you could argue Jordan's game in Utah because he scored more than half of their points. But he shot 15 for 35. The only game I'll really compare it to in the closeout finals is Magic. Rookie year, and he gets props because he was a rookie. 42 points, 15 rebounds, 7 assists when Kareem's injured in Game 6 against Philadelphia. But Magic got 37 points and 10 rebounds from Jamal Wilkes, who became a Hall of Famer. Giannis last night, it was really, guys, in the NBA, we talk about it, but let's be honest. It's never completely a one-man show. You're always getting help, right? You get help somewhere. But last night was as close to a one-man show as you're really going to get in a big-time NBA game like that. And so it was Giannis all day, all night.
I agree with you. He was unguardable. Ayton was a no-show. He picked the worst time to not show up to a ball game. There's no way Jay Crowder should have double the rebounds as DeAndre Ayton. And the Milwaukee Bucks had 5-6 guys that had as many rebounds as DeAndre Ayton. The one time they need him to be on the glass, he wasn't there. This is the second greatest offensive rebounding margin since 1985. Plus 37 is what the Bucks did to the Suns. The plus 44 is the third most since 1968. 1968, Skip, I was born in 68, that's 53 years. Third most, come on, Phoenix. And Skip, remember I came out here after they won the first 2 games. I say, Skip, they won, but I'm seeing the rebounding margin. That's concerning to me. But I say, you know what, I'm thinking, you know what, everybody keep telling me Monty's a great X and O coach. He's going to fix that. I'm like, and then I finally come to the conclusion. They're not going to grow. DeAndre Ayton is not going to be 7'2" tomorrow. Chris Paul is not going to wake up and be 6'3". Devin Booker is not about to be 6'9". So they are what they are. They just couldn't keep him off the glass. If Milwaukee hadn't turned the ball over, they'd beat them by 20. Because all they got to do is get the ball up on the rim. There's a 75% chance they're going to get the rebound. Skip, Giannis, and we talked about this earlier, Chris. It's one of the 5 greatest playoff finals games that I've ever seen. As I go back to 1977, He was sensational, and he's the first player in NBA Finals history to put up 40 points, 10 rebounds, 5 blocks in a single game. He did it better. He got 50.
Okay, I'm not going to let Chris Broussard get away with this any more than I'll let you, because the greatest finals game ever played was Game 6 at Utah in 1998 because of these circumstances and magnitude. And Jordan scored 45 of their 87 total points with little to no Scottie Pippen because he was ill and he hurt his back in the game and barely registered on the stat sheet. And Game 7 was to be played in Utah in that 2-3-2 format. And Jordan just said, I got this. And he held the ball in his hands, 55% usage rate, and took the game over and stole the ball from Karl Malone and went the length of the floor. And Scotty's over there saying, I'm wide open at 3. No, you're not. I got this. And I'm going to hold the pose at Utah and horrify those fans one last time and walk into the sunset, because he knew Phil Jackson was going to be pushed out the back door and he was going to retire, Michael Jordan. Okay, enough of that. Now on to what happened last night. This is not a second guess. This was a first guess. From Game 3 forward, I said, Monty Williams, what are you doing? We can argue about greatest game ever, but we cannot argue about this. It was simply the worst defensive strategy in the history of the NBA Finals by Monty Williams.
Best game, worst game playing.
That is exactly right, because what did we see in 2019? We saw Toronto say, we build a wall. Giannis, you can't come in here. We force you to shoot mid-range jump shots you don't have. We force you to shoot three-point shots out of frustration that you cannot make. We send you to the free throw line because you're going to be a disaster at the free throw line, and he was in that series because they lost 4 straight games to Toronto. Giannis averaged 21 points on 44% shooting from the field. In this series, he's made 62% of his shots. Well, then at the free throw line against Toronto in those 4 games, he made 47%. I saw him make 17 of 19 last night, and I could not believe my eyes. Miami, rinse and repeat. They won the first 3 games because they built a wall. Giannis averaged 23 a game in those 3 games on 45% shooting from the floor. He got frustrated. He finally just fell completely psychologically apart because I don't think his intangibles are that strong. What happened last night? Well, this was the essence of single coverage by DeAndre Ayton, who cannot cover him, especially if you give Giannis a running start from the top of the circle. Nobody can cover him. And Ayton just shrank. He was 7 feet tall at the beginning of the game, and he was about 6'2" at the end of the game because Giannis just annihilated and destroyed him both physically and psychologically. I've never seen anything like it. And if you let Giannis frolic free, if you let him get in his comfort zone, nobody can guard him, and they couldn't guard him last night. And he got in such a comfort zone that a guy who made 47% of his free throws on the road is suddenly making 17 of 19 because he's got this. He knows that he can psychologically own poor DeAndre Ayton, who's only 22 years of age, and that not one time did they say, we're going to take the ball out of your hands. Nope, they just never did.
They do that with all great
scorers.
So
I give it up. I get what Chris is saying. You've never seen anything like this. Well, I've never seen anything like this kind of defense because he is the Greek freak. He is 6'11", and he is an explosive athlete with skills, high skills at the rim. He's not a great shooter, but last night he looked like a pretty good shooter because he was so incredibly comfortable thanks to Monty Williams. And I love Monty, but that was just wrong.
Well, Ayton, I thought Ayton played scared. Even on the offensive end.
He did.
He wasn't,
Agreed.
And I hadn't seen that from him all postseason. If DeAndre Ayton, let's keep it real, played as well as Frank Kaminsky,
Yep, I
it might
agree.
have been a different outcome.
Yes,
Kaminsky actually gave him some good minutes for what he has, right? But look, the wall, everybody tried, Skip, we got to give Giannis some credit for improving as a player. Because, yes, 2 years ago, first of all, you got a great perimeter defender on him in Kawhi, and then you had a wall, and Giannis wasn't ready to handle it. Okay? And then last year, Miami did the same thing. But this year, Miami tried the same thing. They just couldn't do it because now, and I know those highlights didn't really show it, but the Bucks, yes, they put the ball in Middleton's hands and especially in Drew Holiday's hands. So Giannis doesn't play as much point forward now as he did in the past because Holiday's handling it a little more, and Middleton. So, and I think that's how they should play going forward. I don't think Giannis should be out there like a point forward unless he's in transition for the most part. But if they play this way going forward, it's harder to build the wall against him when he's doing it beneath the free throw line. But if he's revving up at the three-point line and everybody knows what he's going to do, yeah, you're going to be able to build a wall and shut him down.
Well, because the difference is because Middleton couldn't make those shots against Toronto. Middleton wasn't playing as well as he is now. He wasn't playing that well back then. And then now you trade out Bledsoe for Holiday. So now I like that. But I'm going to make Chris Middleton. I'm going to make Drew. On the night they go 10 or 32, and you let Giannis go get 50? No, sir. If Chris Middleton goes give you 30, and Holiday, if they play like they played in Game 5, you know, when Giannis has 32, Middleton gets 29, Holiday gets 27, Chris, I can live with that because they spread me too thin. But I'm not going to let this joker go get 50 and then let these other two guys go 10 or 32. I'm not going to let that happen, Chris. I am going to get that ball out of Giannis's hand. Giannis got 20 points in the third quarter alone. He had 33 points.